Ah, the great American dream. Pack your bags, move to a shiny new city, and instantly be embraced by friendly neighbors with casseroles and unsolicited advice about the best coffee shop in town. Except, not quite. In today's video, we're diving into the top 10 US cities that hate newcomers, because nothing says welcome to the neighborhood like passive-aggressive stares and a sudden spike in rent. If you've ever wondered where people treat new residents like invasive species, you're in the right place. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, Anchorage, Alaska. Anchorage, where the mosquitoes are so big they catch them and use them for local blood drives, and the locals would prefer you stay in the lower 48. Want to live here? Great. Hope you're ready for months of darkness and bears casually walking through your yard, like they own the place. Anchorage has incredible access to untouched wilderness, and most of the locals would rather not share it with you. But hey, if you can survive a freezing winter, you'll be rewarded with summer nights where the sun never sets and festivals that celebrate everything from moose to salmon. Just don't expect the locals to be overly thrilled when you mention that you moved here from California. Nothing screams outsider like wearing fleece in 50-degree weather. And yes, the cost of living is outrageous, but think of the savings when you finally get tired of civilization and grow your own food. They've got a Costco, so what else do you really need? Just know that living off the land isn't a trend here. For a lot of folks, it's a way of life. Good luck fitting in. Number 9, Portland, Oregon. Portland, where every day feels like a farmer's market and the homeless show up from everywhere because of the handouts. Yes, we put out the welcome mat years ago, and we're surprised that people showed up. Sure, it's got some problems, but it's still a great place to live if you enjoy being judged for not owning a unicycle or knowing at least 5 local breweries. The locals are so protected of their quirky artisan bubble that anyone with an out-of-state license plate might as well have leprosy and a serious cough. Portland does have its charms, though. Gorgeous hiking trails, bike lanes that stretch for miles, and enough coffee shops to keep you jittery till 2040. If you like eating, it's your paradise. If you're willing to pay $15 for a slice of gluten-free, dairy-free, happiness-free pizza. But don't let the friendly smiles fool you. Beneath the flannel lies a deep suspicion of anyone moving in and driving up rent. So if you've got a dream of settling down in a tiny home and befriending the local barista who also happens to be a DJ philosopher, Portland might be for you. Just don't tell anyone that you're new. When I moved up to the Portland metro area back in 2010, they had all kinds of these stickers that they were putting on for sale homes that said no Californians. It's like, oh well. And yes, I am from California and I now live in the Portland metro area. I get all kinds of people in the comment section leaving, "You're taking advice from a guy that lives in Portland." So? You're probably sitting in the backwoods of Mississippi. I love how they think just because you live in a certain place, you have all the same ideas that they've been told you have on whatever podcast you've been listening to. I guess they've probably never left the house, so they think that nobody else has, and they always have this idea that I've never been out of Portland or something weird like that. Ignorance is bliss, I guess. Number 8, Charleston, South Carolina. Charleston, my second favorite Charleston. Believe it or not, I really like Charleston, West Virginia. Charming Charleston, home of sweet tea, Spanish moss, and the side eye locals give you when you mention you're thinking about relocating here. This historic southern city has all the beauty and hospitality you've heard about. Just don't expect them to roll out the red carpet for outsiders. Charleston offers pristine beaches, pastel-colored houses, and enough history to make your high school teacher weep with joy. Food, absolutely top-notch, with shrimp and grits, so good it might actually make you cry. But let's be real, the locals already think that there's too many people here, and you in a moving truck is just too much for a lot of them to handle. Before you do, keep up with the Charleston's unofficial dress code of linen everything. If you're sweating through your jeans, you're definitely not from Charleston. But hey, at least the locals might warm up to you after a decade or two. Until then, enjoy being the newbie. Number 7, Denver, Colorado. People from Denver can't stand newcomers anymore. They've had enough. But hey, welcome to Denver, where the air is thin and the locals' patience for newcomers is thinner. The Mile High City has become the unofficial landing spot for everyone fleeing other states, and the natives are really just over it. Why else do you think they plaster native bumper stickers on their cars like a badge of honor? Denver's undeniably gorgeous, with the Rockies towering nearby and endless opportunities for outdoor activities. Love skiing, hiking, or sitting in traffic behind people that are going hiking or skiing? You'll fit right in. The craft beer scene is also legendary, so you can drown your sorrows about being that person who just moved in. The locals, meanwhile, will continue to reminisce about the good old days when rent was cheap and they didn't have a 45-minute wait for a table at their favorite brunch spot. But sure, come on in. Just don't expect people to be thrilled about you now living there. Number 6, Nashville, Tennessee. The land of country music, hot chicken, and a population growing faster than Taylor Swift's breakup songs. I know I've been mentioning Taylor Swift a lot lately, but I have a 7-year-old granddaughter, and it is on a constant loop in my house whenever she's here. I know all the songs, and I don't even like that type of music. Send help. But if Taylor Swift is listening, my granddaughter's birthday is coming up, and it'd be really nice if, I don't know, anything. But the locals are definitely not bitter about the sudden influx of aspiring musicians and remote workers taking over their once quiet city. Nope, not at all. Reality is the musicians have been coming in since the dawn of man. The remote worker thing, that's kind of new, and it's really adding a new little twist to what is Nashville. But seriously, Nashville is a fantastic place to live if you enjoy music, southern hospitality, and sweating through your shirt 9 months out of the year. Broadway Street is a never-ending party, and there's no shortage of opportunities to indulge in fried everything. Bonus points if you can handle your hot chicken, Nashville style, without crying or complaining. Of course, the locals will sneer at you when you start gushing about your new rooftop apartment. You'll eventually hear someone go, "Y'all aren't from here, are ya?" And if you get outside of Nashville, it might be all, "Y'all ain't from here, is ya?" This is less of a question and more of a passive-aggressive observation. But hey, at least you'll have great music to distract you, right? In honest reality, I've always had a great time whenever I've gone to Nashville. Nothing but, I've never tried to move in there or anything like that, but I know quite a few people that did move there in the early 90s, and they said it took a long time before people actually were nice to them. I actually do know one girl, though, that said she went there and people loved her right away and they were very nice and it was great, she said. But at the time, she was like 22 years old and very shapely and worked as a bartender. Number 5, Boise, Idaho. Seems like we've been talking a lot about Idaho lately. They just, I guess it's when we're on a, good place to live type series, they always show up. Because Idaho and Boise are great places to live. And that's part of the reason people don't like Newcomers. It's a little too popular. But in case you don't know, Boise is the potato capital of the country. And I think they'd like you to be under the impression that that's all they are. It's a bunch of farmers that grow potato, nothing exciting, it's all boring, please don't come. But we have this thing called the internet, and there's no chance of that happening. Everybody knows Idaho and Boise are great places to live, and the locals used to enjoy their quiet little corner of paradise until everyone from California started showing up with a dream of wide open spaces and cheap housing. Spoiler alert, it's not cheap anymore. But this happens everywhere. California used to have cheap real estate, and then everyone from the Midwest, Idaho, and down in the southern states all started heading to California back around 1942, and the prices climbed. Perfect example, my old house was about 4 blocks off the beach in Redondo Beach, California, which is in the southern part, just south of Los Angeles. In 1945, that piece of property with the home on it was purchased for $3,000. I think it's $2,500, $3,000, somewhere around there. It was definitely under $5,000. If you want that same house right now, it's over $1.2 million. And it is that same house that was built there in 1945. So what's happening in Idaho and Denver and all these other places already happened in California. But what makes Boise so great? Stunning natural beauty, a surprisingly vibrant downtown, and enough outdoor activities to keep even the most adventurous busy. From skiing in the winter to river tubing in the summer, you'll never run out of ways to enjoy the outdoors and annoy the locals by calling it underrated. But beware, the locals have developed a sixth sense for spotting outsiders. Move in and you'll quickly learn that friendly in Boise means polite but secretly hoping you'll leave. At least the potatoes are worth it, right? Number 4, Salt Lake City, Utah. Salt Lake City, where the mountains are breathtaking, the skiing is world class, and the locals are quietly plotting to keep you from moving there. This rapidly growing city has been discovered, and the longtime residents are less than thrilled about the influx of outsiders looking for the little slice of the Wasatch Range. It is a fantastic place to live if you enjoy outdoor adventures, wide streets, and an oddly clean downtown. The city's proximity to ski resorts and hiking trails make it a paradise for active folks. And if you love bizarrely specific soda shops, oh boy, do they have you covered like no other place on the globe. But with all that good stuff comes a downside. Don't expect a warm welcome. Sure, the people are polite. This is Utah after all. But underneath that smile is a steely resolve to keep their property values intact and their neighborhoods uncrowded. Bonus points if you could survive the first inversion season without Googling, "Can smog kill me?" Number 3, Austin, Texas. Keep Austin weird, more like keep outsiders out. This quirky Texas city has become a magnet for tech bros, artists, and everyone else looking for a cooler version of Dallas and a warmer version of Portland, Oregon. And the locals, they just say they're not thrilled about their once affordable city turning into the hipster Disneyland. Austin is amazing though. Live music scene is legendary, their tacos are life-changing, and the weather ensures you'll never need a winter coat. Plus, there's something poetic about sweating through your shirt and eating a brisket in the middle of February. But if you move here, don't expect for the locals to, come out and give you a hug and help you with everything. They're too busy complaining about the traffic and reminiscing about the good old days when you could buy a house for less than $1 million. I've had quite a few people complain about, especially Californians, moving to Austin, Texas. Californians, for the most part, are moving to Houston and Dallas. Sure, some do move to Austin, but it's not that many. Where a majority of the people that move to Austin are coming from, it's Oklahoma and Arkansas. Tennessee's up there also. Number 2, Seattle, Washington. Seattle, where the coffee is strong, the weather is damp, and the locals have perfected the art of passive-aggressive coldness. The Emerald City is undeniably stunning, with its waterfront views, iconic skyline, and the proximity to the great outdoors, like so many other places that are popular. It's so funny that back in the day, the 80s, 90s, and even the early 2000s, everyone wanted a great downtown. Nowadays, the top of the list is, how close are they to wilderness? I gotta get out of the city type attitude. If you go to Seattle, you will learn the meaning of the locals don't like you. They even have a thing called the Seattle Freeze. Now, this doesn't have to do with locals. This has to do with people from anywhere. They don't make friends. It's weird. They got their own friends and they feel like they're good with what they got. If you try and make friends with someone, they start treating you like you're trying to talk them into a multi-level marketing thing. No, I'm just trying to be friendly. I'm not trying to sell you Amway. That's been said more than once, I'm sure. Combine that, the Seattle Freeze, and the fact that they've seen their city just explode in prices and homeless. They don't want anyone else moving up there. So yes, Seattle offers a high quality of life if you can afford skyrocketing rent and don't mind 9 months of gray skies. The coffee culture is unparalleled, and the tech scene provides endless job opportunities for anyone fluent in Java. That's the programming language, not the drink, which if you like Java, the drink, congratulations, you found your nirvana. Just don't expect the locals to make small talk. Seattleites, like I'd said, have that Seattle Freeze, and it's a unique phenomenon where they'll smile politely but never invite you over. You might feel lonely, but hey, at least you have great views of Mount Rainier, right? And Elliott Bay. All right, before we get to number 1, if you're thinking about moving to one of these cities or any city in the United States, there's a link for a website called Home and Money in the description area below. They can get you in touch with a real estate agent anywhere in the country. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, San Francisco. Yeah, mind blown. This is a city that is so freaking expensive. No one in their right mind should be moving there. I mean, I was there 2 weeks ago, and it's definitely better than what I saw when I last went, which I believe was 2021, 2022, something like that. But it still sucks. With its astronomical rent prices, traffic jams, and fog so thick it deserves its own zip code, this city practically screams, don't move here. And yet people still do. It's really weird. Why? Because it's San Francisco. The Golden Gate Bridge, Alcatraz, and a cultural scene that's second to none make it one of the most iconic cities in the world. Now, a few years ago, I read this article where a bunch of people that travel all over the world, travel professionals and tourists, they all answered this survey about the most beautiful cities in the world. Now, we hear nothing but bad about San Francisco these days, but the reality is, looking at that city, it is a beautiful city. Sure, stay out of the Tenderloin and a few other areas, and it is still a beautiful city. And it's up there in the top 10 of the most beautiful cities in the world. Now, that brings in more tourists than people that are going to stay, but people still are moving there. A lot of the time, it has to do with some kind of tech job or something that's bringing them to the city. The locals, meanwhile, are busy blaming newcomers for everything from the housing crisis to the fact that their favorite dive bar is now a yoga studio. But don't take it personally. After all, if you can survive sticker shock, hills, and icy stairs, you've truly earned the right to call yourself a San Franciscan. Actually, maybe not, but still, maybe 10 years, 20 years, you could start telling people that. All right, that's today's video. If you enjoyed this one, you'll probably enjoy one of the 2 videos being suggested right now. Go ahead and give one of those a watch. All right, everyone, have a great day. Be nice to each other.